Welcome, Hunters. Ghost Adventures content, I promised. I'm here to deliver. By the way, to all you fabulous patriots out there, happy 4th of July. I'll be back in a sec. Welcome back, Hunters. So there was a choice between what we discussed, Ghost Adventures Skinwalker Invasion, which was a 2-hour special to kick off the new season, or Ghost Adventures House Calls Season 2. I'm going to share with you my decision for the topic of today's video right now. Alright, so Ghost Adventures House Calls Season 2. Let's get into it. Now, I made a video on Season 1. I was a little critical of some of the decisions made about the show. And I made a little small list, so if I glance over, forgive me. But I just want to do a quick warning that I am not scripted. Okay, so let's continue. So let's start at the very beginning of the episodes. I believe there's 8 episodes. I could be wrong, 8, 7, or 8. Either way. Now, on the Reddit post, we're going to go over it briefly at the end of the video. But out of those 7 or 8 episodes, my personal favorite episode was episode 5, I believe. So at the end of this video, I'm also going to do sort of a warning because the situation that happened in this episode, I think could have easily been prevented, except for some of the actions of the people that lived there. So we'll talk about that briefly in just a sec. So stay tuned and I'll get to that at the end of the video. So let's start at the beginning. So in my first video, I was curious how they made the selection of the homes in which they were going to investigate. Were backlogged? Were they just taking fresh calls? Did they have people historically through the show that they've touched base with and they just never got around to investigating? I don't know. But in Season 2, they don't answer that. And I was very curious. Now, I know in some programs like Dead Files, in the middle of the show, they'll be like, if you need help, please call Dead Files and we're going to come find your ghosts. Or tell you what your ghosts are or where they're at or what other sort of thing that is. But they don't do that with Ghost Adventures, at least not that I've noticed. If you guys see otherwise, please let me know because I've never noticed it and I've watched Ghost Adventures for a long time. So that is not answered. So that question that I answered that question that I asked in the first video is not answered in Season 2. Now, the video call with Aaron. Now, I was a little critical of the bit where Zach calls the guys and then Aaron is doing something a little goofy, and Aaron is immediately scolded by Zach. Set seriousness for the moment. I believe it was handled poorly. It was a little cringe. I think it was unnecessary, and I think it was humiliating to Aaron. Season 2, they have corrected that. Thankfully, they handle it. The bit works a little bit better. It's not quite as cringy. Zach calls them, and Aaron is still doing, goofy antics, but Zach kind of plays along with it. Let's get serious. This is what's going on. Be careful. And it's just not quite as, he's not as overbearing. He seems to play into the bit a lot better in Season 2. So that was something I liked seeing because I like all the guys. I don't want to see any of them humiliated or picked on or bullied, anything like that. So I like that change. The next question I asked in my first video was why Zach was not physically there. At the time, I had no idea why they made the decision to take the Ghost Adventures crew and put them without Zach in, which at the time seemed to be, like a regular investigation. But come to find out, it seems they wanted to streamline these investigations. In Seasons 2, you can see they get back to the basics of just investigating, going in with their cameras, one-on-one. There's not a whole lot of production here. It's not a large camera crew. It's just the investigators in the dark doing investigation, which was superb. And we found out in the other Reddit post with the Haunted Museum, I'll link that card up the top of you guys in my other video, that Zach had some sort of premonition. He shared it with his mother that he was going to die in a plane crash, and supposedly she forbid him to fly. Whether that's true or not, we'll never know. But that kind of gives an explanation of why he's not there. Now, the second thing that I critiqued was why since he wasn't physically going to be there, why wouldn't he just let the guys investigate without being so overbearing? It was like, I think in the Reddit post, I'll show you the post, the comment, but they called it, I think, internet investigation, which I thought was a pretty good term. I called it remote investigation, and Zach was still part of the investigation, was kind of trying to lead it, and he was not even there. So I felt that was kind of unnecessary. He should have done the narration, and he should have just let the guys handle it. Well, in season 2, he does that, and he sets up the video call. They fly to location. He doesn't fly, of course. We know that now. That's why he's not there. They get to the location. They meet with the homeowner. They do the baseline. Then they go into the investigation. Zach is nowhere to be seen, or at least he's rarely in the investigation of season 2, which is great. It just gives those guys a time to shine. You can see them operating. It's like going back to, it's reminiscent of the old Ghost Adventures where they went in, just 3 of them, 4 of them, whatever it was, 3 of them. And they would go in and they would do an investigation. They would capture their evidence. They would react. Now, another point that I thought was a little ridiculous is when in the first season, Zach was on the laptop the whole time they were doing the investigation, and he was affected by the spirit or the demon or whatever they were investigating. And he was sitting in Las Vegas and they were wherever across the country. So I thought that was a little ridiculous. They don't replicate that in season 2. They sack that whole bit. So that's done. So that's a great thing. So it focuses on just the 4 of them. Another thing I thought was kind of ridiculous is they would go out in the yard and they were trying to explain the haunting, and they would take the SLS camera and they would look up at the tree, and they were talking about, I don't know, field fairies and tree spirits and satyrs and all sorts of nonsense. I thought they kind of got in the weeds with their evidence. In season 2, they've kind of corrected that, and they stay focused on just the evidence in the house and the testimonial by the homeowner. So they kind of stay focused on that. They don't get into the weeds with the evidence, trying to explain every haunting with every possible source known to man. You know, lightning strikes, I don't know, magic whistles, seances. They just kind of stay focused on the evidence. So the next thing is Lauren. They put Lauren in the mix, and she's an integral part of the investigation. I think in season 1 they kind of blended her in. If I'm not mistaken, she was still on the camera a little bit. Could be mistaken, but this time it seems like she begins the season as like an equal part investigator. If I'm not mistaken, I think maybe in the first episode she comes in behind him in the camera. But as far as the investigations go, she seems to be an equal part. It's a good balance, a good blend. You know, you don't have 4 guys running around talking about how they feel and being aggressive and talking about they want to choke each other and all that nonsense. So it's just her with the guys doing the investigation. She does a good job. She's a good presence there. She's got a good temperament. She's interesting. I like her testimonial. Along with the other guys, they do good testimonials in season 2. But it's just a good balance there. I think they really made a good decision putting her, giving her more time in season 2. And I think that's pretty much most of my critiques, because again, I didn't want to make this video real long, but I just think season 2 is well worth your time to watch. And you come home, you want to relax, you toss it on. If you have Discovery Plus, the episodes are only like 40 minutes long. They're, you know, I don't know where else you would watch them. Maybe I think you could buy them at Amazon Prime. I'm not sure, but I watch on Discovery Plus. So come in, put the episode on. They do like a brief description of what's going on. They do the homeowner submission, and then they fly out there and they get busy. So the episode's over before you know it. It's like a snap. They do the investigation. Now, also on my first video, I said that absolutely Zach should be the one talking to the homeowner, because of course the homeowner's calling Ghost Adventures. They want to talk to Zach Bagans about what's going on in their house. He does a really good job this season taking the homeowners seriously. I think he genuinely shows concern for the homeowners, their families, and trying to resolve their problem. So that's a great thing. So with that being, I think that's basically all except for my wrap up at the very end. I wanted to make one point about one of the episodes, episode 5, and something that I noticed that I just kind of want to warn people of. But I'm going to jump in the box real quick, and we're almost done. And I know I'm going on and on and on, but it was a good season. It was a good season. It was great investigations, great interaction between the cast. It just had a real good, solid ghost investigation feel to it. It was really good. They didn't go high-end technical stuff like they do in the regular seasons. I mean, in the regular season, the technology that they use in their investigations is spectacular, and I can only imagine how much some of those things cost. So rarely you're ever going to see it in any other show other than Ghost Adventures. But in these investigations, they keep it pretty simple. IR cameras. They got the tri-field meter. They do use the SLS, and a couple of these episodes, I believe, and not all of them. I don't remember. I'm not a big fan of the SLS, but a lot of people love it. I understand why you would use it, but I'm just not a big fan of it. I like EVPs, and of course, you guys know I use the spirit box a lot. I kind of like the voice phenomenon. I think that's more interesting. But anyway, I'm going to jump in the box real quick, and I'm going to show you the Reddit post that I found. I just searched House Calls Season 2 on the internet, on a Google, and it went straight to this Reddit. One of the search results was this Reddit post, and it says plainly, and I know my box is kind of in the way here. It says House Calls Season 2 is nice. It says might be an unpopular opinion, but the Season 2 is actually nice. It is seriously unbelievable how the presence of Zach and his theatrics actually propels the rest in the madness. Without his presence and no internet investigation, that was where I heard the term, the team sounds like a normal paranormal investigation unit. And I agree 100%. It says episode 2 of this season might be the best House Calls episode. Episode 2 of the season might be the best House Calls episode yet. I don't remember episode 2, to be honest with you. I remember 5 because I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. And he goes, right, exactly my point. At least the investigation feels like an investigation now. Previously, it felt like a bunch of prima donnas jumping around in the dark with no sense, flow, or balance. And that's what I was saying. You guys remember on Ghost Adventures, they would go in, they would feel stuff, they would get angry, they'd look at each other. I think with Lauren there, it kind of puts a sense of balance there. There's not a whole bunch of, they're not running around the dark, acting foolish and threatening one another and all that. That element is completely removed due to, I don't know, maybe because she's a female, and it just by default removes that sort of nonsense, which is great because I never liked it anyway. I always cringed every time Zach would stand there and he would be like, oh, I'm so angry, and he would narrate. It was just bad look. It's a bad look. So I'm glad they removed that. And if Lauren being part of the team is the reason why that was removed, well done. Good job. Basically, most of the positive comments are positive simply because Zach is not there, which they're saying it's good to get a breath of fresh air without Zach on the program. The guys are good on their own. I like Lauren as well. I just really love it when ghost shows investigate people's homes. I do too. I think one of the most interesting shows I watch on YouTube is Foreman Brothers. They do haunted high-end locations sometimes, like asylums and hospitals, but the majority of their shows are people's homes. I love it. For some reason, I love house hauntings and investigating in houses. It's just good. But there's not a great deal of comments here, but they're all basically in the same consensus that it's a great season, and it's nice to have a break from Zach, and that season 1 he was a little overbearing, remotely going into the investigations, and then they feel like not having him there now is a breath of fresh air. The guys did a good job. Lauren was a great addition. So I agree 100%. with most of the comments here. So let me come out of the box and we're going to wrap this up. Episode 5 sort of stuck with me for the main reason is I watch a lot of paranormal programs. I do a lot of reading about unclean spirits and exorcisms and rituals and summonings and all that sort of thing. And people get involved with it. They don't know what they're doing. And everyone knows that watches my channel, I don't get involved with that sort of thing. I don't do rituals or summonings or any of that stuff. I don't do Ouija boards or seances. I basically go to where a spirit may be and I just ask if anyone's there. That's basically my style. I'm not interested in summoning, so I'm not a big fan of that. But I know that as a Christian, if you read the scripture, it mentions unclean spirits. I think the encounters in the New Testament was like 55 times. So if you're a Christian, you think you have to be under the opinion that demons are real. Unclean spirits are real. So when Zach in his episodes go, okay guys, you ready? We have to be careful. I really believe that. I think they need to be careful. They need to have some sort of spiritual armor or protection to keep from being maybe harassed or attached or have an attachment for these unclean spirits. That's a high probability that could happen. So I absolutely believe that. So they do have to be careful. So even though a lot of people might think he's embellishing or theatrics, I think that's a real concern. And I think it's good that he points that out, that, hey, we could be, in danger here. We need to be careful. But I think what he doesn't do, I think where he's remiss, is he doesn't tell the audience. He doesn't point it out. So many times they've been to investigation, but not just Ghost Adventures, but all of these professions that do paranormal investigations. They don't point out the fact that they go into these homes where these people have played around with this demonic stuff. They do rituals. They get involved with satanic church, all these readings with, I'm not even going to mention their names, but the head of the satanic church and another well-known gentleman from Britain. There's just all this stuff going on that these people get involved with, and they go to their house. Even a family member they're not even aware of goes to their house, staying with them, living with them, and they get involved with these rituals. And then unbeknownst to the rest of the family, they accidentally or maybe purposely summon something in there that they can't control. They don't even know what they're doing. So I guess my point here is, don't play with this stuff. Don't play with the Ouija boards. Don't play with the rituals. Stop reading incantations, all that stuff. Most people have no idea what they're doing. It takes professionals years, decades to learn how to handle and control these situations, but you definitely don't want to create them. So I'm just going to make it simple. Don't do it. Stop doing Ouija boards and all that ritual stuff anywhere. Don't do it in your house. Don't do it anywhere, because you probably don't know what you're doing, and you're probably going to cause yourself so much heartache, or maybe your family, without even intending to hurt your family. And then the home could be infested, and then you have a real problem. So don't do it. I guess that would be, I wish Ghost Adventures and all the other professionals would say, don't do it. Maybe they do. Some of them do. Maybe I just haven't noticed it. But I'm saying, I believe it is a possibility. Don't do it. Stop doing this. You call Ghost Adventures in to investigate your home because you have what you think is an unclean spirit there, or demon, however you want to phrase it, and you summoned it. You did a ritual, or your friends did, or you did something that you couldn't control, and then you call Ghost Adventures to come in and tell you have a demon, when you know that you summoned them anyway and you did some dopey ritual, and now you have, infestation in your house. So don't do it. So I'm going to leave it at that. Don't do it. So season 2, Ghost Adventures House Call season 2, it's good. Watch it. You'll enjoy it. And I'm not a Ghost Adventures channel, but I do like Ghost Adventures. That's my main point here, I guess, leaving this video, is just don't do it. Be careful. Have spiritual armor. Protect yourself at all times. If you want to do paranormal investigation, then be very careful of your professional level, where your involvement should be. Again, I am not a professional. This is not what I have not been mentored by a professional paranormal investigator. I don't do enough reading. I haven't been taught by a demonologist or anything to be dealing with that sort of darkness. And I don't think most people are as well. And if you're going to be in a paranormal investigation, you want to go on a tour, you want to go to a haunted location, protect yourself spiritually. I do. Most people that do paranormal investigations that I know on YouTube, people that I've talked to, they do the same. They protect themselves. So either don't do it, stay away from it, or learn to protect yourself. All right, guys, I'm done droning on about that. So season 2 is good. Watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. And be good to each other. Take care of each other. Have a great 4th of July weekend. And I will see you on the next one.